and from the family of one of them is lawyer and keen Ulster Scots historian Brian McConnell, who hails from Halifax, Nova Scotia. Now, Johnny, you've been chatting to him, is that right?
Well, Rob, I think we often think of folk heading to America for here, but they did go to other places, including Canada, and that's exactly what Brian's forefathers did. So I wanted to know actually how Ulster Scots he was.
Yes, well, I'm sitting here today wearing a tie, a tartan tie. That was my grandfather's. But my grandfather is mentioned in the book. He was Joseph Clark, the Ulsterman who was in the Royal Irish Fusiliers and then came to Canada. So growing up, I knew their accents. Following upon that family connection, I first got interested in family history probably in the 80s, 90s, and joined some groups online. And writing the book, I suppose I've always thought that there's been a great deal of attention given to the Ulster people who went to the United States, but not so much to Canada.
You picked 7 folk to include in the book, but one that stands out to me is the Reverend William Somerville for County Down. Now, he was the founder of the Covenanters, and of course there's that strong link between Scotland and Ulster with the Covenanters and the Reformed Presbyterian Church.
Yes, historically I only live about an hour and a half drive from that church. It's now maintained by a local Reformed Presbyterian group and opened once a year for an annual service. At one time, the location of that church and where it was, there were a larger number of people living there than there are now in the rural area. One of my reasons for getting involved in this is in Nova Scotia, it's so evident. You don't have to look very far, and I'm continually coming across examples of Ulster Scots who came here from the 18th century on and were active in local communities.
It's interesting as the 7 biographies are in the book, Brian, you also gain us little gems at the back of the book, surnames in Canada, and my favourite, names of towns and cities here in Ulster that are also shared in Canada. And if you get the book, you don't have to go far to see this. In fact, on the front cover, there is a picture of a sign which reads, "Welcome to Antrim, Halifax."
And these names are well known. When I was younger in Ontario, the Ulster names there, I also mentioned there used to be an Ulster Stadium in Toronto where they played soccer, and it was founded by Ulster Scots who came over in the early 20th century. And in fact, before it was, I suppose, taken down to make room for urban expansion, and they moved to another stadium. Actually, my father played football in that stadium.
And some of the other names that we share are places like Belfast, Londonderry, Coleraine, and Bangor. Now, Brian, you also wrote for a magazine there whose name would be familiar back here, particularly in my own hometown of Ballymoney, whose local grammar school actually shares the same name. That magazine there is called the Dalriada magazine, of course in reference to the Kingdom of Dalriada between here and Scotland.
Yes, Jonathan, one of the first articles I did published in 1999 in Dalriada magazine was called Ulster to Canada, and it was focusing on the connection of the Ulster Scots. That was about the same time that we were promoting the Ulster Scottish Society in Canada. One of my reasons for getting involved in this is in Nova Scotia, it's so evident. You don't have to look very far, and I'm continually coming across examples of Ulster Scots who came here from the 18th century on and were active in local communities.
Brian McConnell there chatting to Johnny from Halifax, Nova Scotia. It's wonderful to make these Ulster Scots connections across the world, isn't it? And what are the details of the book again?
Well, Helen, you can get the book online. It's called Canada's Ulster Scots by Brian McConnell.
They are here. Sure.